I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will call this organizational meeting, January 4th, 2021, 5 p.m. meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all of the visitors, remind you that if you want to be placed specifically on the agenda to address the board at any of our regular meetings, you'll need to contact the county administrator's office at least 7 days in advance of any meeting. Today, we do not have any matters presented by the public as part of our agenda, so we'll move straight into what our purpose is for today, and that being the organizational meeting. I'll accept a motion from the board that we allow the county administrator to chair the meeting until there is an election of the chairperson and vice chairperson.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent. Mr. Hall, if you will chair the meeting, please.
Yes, sir. Our first item of business is the election of the chairperson for 2021. I will shortly open the floor for nominations. Nominations do not need a second. So once the nomination is made, I'll repeat it, and then I'll leave it open for any subsequent nominations for an adequate time, and then we'll close and ask for a vote. So we will now open the floor for nominations for the election of chairperson for 2021. Are there any nominations?
Mr. Hall, I'd like to nominate Jim Adams as chairman of the Henry County Board of Supervisors for 2021 based on his leadership, integrity, and communicative skills.
All right, we have a nomination of Mr. Adams to serve as chairperson for 2021. Are there any other nominations for this position? Anyone else make a nomination for this position? All right, sensing that you are ready to vote, all those in favor of the election of Mr. Adams as chairperson for 2021, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, congratulations, Mr. Adams.
Thank you.
Second item of business is the election of vice chair. Again, the process is the same. I'll open the floor for nominations. Nominations do not require a second. And then we will leave the nominations open long enough to where it's obvious that we are done with nominations. So at this point, we will open the floor to any nomination of board member to serve as vice chairperson for the 2021 year. Any nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we re-elect vice chairman Deborah Buchanan for the period of 2021.
All right, we have a nomination for Ms. Buchanan to serve as vice chair for 21. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, sensing that you are ready to vote, all those in favor of Ms. Buchanan serving as vice chairperson for 2021, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Buchanan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to agenda item number 7, again, I thank the board for its confidence in me, and I'm humbled by your remarks, Dr. Martin. I think it could be said of each and every one on this board that they not only serve with a glad heart, but they do serve with utmost integrity and are community-minded to a person. You all come prepared for meetings. You may not always see everything equal, but you are defending your reason for that with purpose and with some background, and for that you all are to be applauded for the service that you render. Again, thank you so much for your confidence in me. Vice Chair Buchanan, would you like to offer any comments?
I do want to thank each and every one of you for voting for me, and as Jim Adams said, I work with a good group of people. Any one of you could serve as chairman or vice chairman, and I wouldn't have any problem with that. I think we have one thing in common, and that's to move Henry County forward, represent our people, and I think we have done that, and I think we will continue to do that, so thank you again.
Agenda item 7, setting of regular board meeting dates for 2021. The board's had an opportunity in its background material to see those recommended regular board meeting dates. Is there any discussion in regard to that? With that, I'll accept the motion that we accept that for the board meeting dates for 2021.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the meeting dates for 2021 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 5 with 1 absent. Jennifer. Agenda item number 8, adoption of the board's 2021 bylaws. Mr. Hall.
The board traditionally adopts bylaws each year at its annual organizational meeting. Staff is recommending just a couple of minor changes to the 2021 bylaws as noted in your attachment in your working papers. And County Attorney George Lyle will provide additional information regarding virtual meetings should the board desire to include such provisions in its revised bylaws.
Okay, as part of your background material, you've had the bylaws. Are there any questions in regard to what Mr. Hall just referenced? Okay, there were just a few strike-throughs, minor changes as noted. What is the pleasure of the board in regard to adopting of the 2021 bylaws for the Henry County Board of Supervisors?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we approve the bylaws for 2021.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent. Jennifer. Agenda item number 9, a consideration of a date for the board's annual planning session. Mr. Hall.
For the past several years, the board has held an annual planning session, usually in late January or early February. The board has clearly identified its priorities of economic development, education, and public safety / law enforcement. Staff can suggest dates and times for the planning session for the board to consider at this meeting. In talking with Mr. Adams today, as you know, our budget calendar has been altered. We altered it last month to basically move everything back a month. So from staff's perspective, I don't think it's necessarily essential that we have a planning session in the first part of February. We can certainly push that out. And in fact, that would probably be best from a staff standpoint for a couple of reasons. One, it allows us to get deeper into the General Assembly session, which is scheduled to be a short session, but sometimes that is subject to change. And also, the deeper we can go, the better it is that we get a handle on COVID and its continuing impacts. And it may just be a better work session from staff's perspective if perhaps we push it out from this traditional first week in February established.
The first week in February?
That's what we've done in the past, generally the first week of February.
So we
But
probably
have
look
some
to pushing
latitude.
that.
We have some latitude this year since we pushed back the budget calendar from its normal date. That may be in our best interest, at least from staff's perspective, if we maybe not even set a date today, but we come back to you perhaps at the end of January, the January meeting with some more concrete dates. I just think it gives us more latitude if we push things back a little bit, since the whole budget process is being pushed back.
With that, what would you see as being the furthest reaching date that we should not go past?
I would suggest not going past March 1.
Okay. So if we could do it that last week when we have our meeting, because we're meeting, have a joint meeting with the school board on the 23rd.
In February, that's correct. So it could be right before that or right after that. I think either would be fine.
Or the day before, but just kind of keeping it in that
Right. That's
wheelhouse.
exactly right. Last year we did a budget and then we did another one. And I'd hate to be in that situation this year because I was the guy who thought this would be over in 6 months.
Right.
And it's not, clearly, so.
When does the budget start? What time frame is it?
It takes effect July 1 of
No,
the year.
the meeting, the time frame.
Oh, we're working on it right now.
No, I mean, did we start at 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6? What time?
Oh, you mean in the past for the planning session?
Yeah.
Generally, it's been 4 or 5 o'clock, and then we work dinner in.
Yeah, for me, it would be easier if we make a decision right now because where I
Okay.
can pencil in my business. And if we can't, that's fine.
We're fine with that. Just my suggestion that we push it out from its normal first week.
Yeah, I mean, the latter part of February would be better for me too.
Okay. Yeah, we're open. If you want to set a date now, that's fine with us.
How about Monday, the 22nd? It's the day before our meeting. Are Mondays good?
Or either one of those county holidays?
No, sir, we have a holiday on the 15th, but not on the 22nd.
Yeah, that works for me.
That would work. Does that work?
Work for
It's
me.
fine with me.
And we start at 4 like we've done in the past and get an hour in, and then we have a working dinner and
Yeah.
Yep.
polish it up after that.
Public safety.
Yes, sir, that'd be my suggestion, Matt. Think we can have it there?
22nd?
22nd, Monday the 22nd.
Will you be cooking again this year, Mr. Hall?
No, sir.
Okay.
That's probably in everybody's best
Thank
interest.
goodness.
4 p.m.?
Or at the public safety.
So the 22nd, 4 p.m., public safety.
Do we
We
need
don't
to
have bad weather.
Do we need a motion?
memorialize
Yes,
that with a vote?
we should have a motion.
Okay, I'll need that in the form of a motion for the record.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the planning session be scheduled for February 22nd, 4 o'clock at Public Safety.
Second.
Have a motion, a second, any discussion? All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent, Jennifer. Agenda item number 10 will take up some financial matters. 10A, renewal of financing on the Patriot Center Shell Building. Mr. Hall.
Henry County currently provides loan financing to the Industrial Development Authority of Henry County for the Patriot Center Shell Building. The agreement requires annual approval by both the Board of Supervisors and the IDA. County Attorney, Mr. Lyle, has copies of the updated document for the board's consideration at the meeting. The document is essentially the same as last year, it just had the date change, is that correct?
Same interest rate, same three interest payments throughout the year.
Okay. In regard to the renewal of the financing to the IDA, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
sorry, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we do renewal of financing on the Patriot Center Cell Building to the IDA.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or clarification needed? All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent. Jennifer. 10B, an additional appropriation referencing grant funds for the Commonwealth Crossing Business Center. Mr. Hall.
Staff is asking the board to appropriate grant funds totaling $1,502,500 received from the Appalachian Regional Commission and the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development for site improvements at Commonwealth Crossing Business Center. These funds will be used to assist with the cost of installing natural gas to the site.
What's the pleasure of the board in regard to the approval of additional appropriation?
Mr. Chairman, I move the board approve the additional appropriation of $1,502,500 for site improvements to CCBC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent. Jennifer. 10C, an additional appropriation for capital items. Mr. Hall.
Capital items discussed in the FY 2021 initial county budget were deferred until staff understood the impact the pandemic would have on our revenue. While there has been a modest decline in utility taxes, lodging taxes, food and beverage taxes, and EMS revenues, other categories, including personal property, real estate, and sales taxes, have remained stable. Staff feels it is important to proceed with funding of many of the capital items requested in the budget document, and a list of the suggested capital items is attached in your working papers. If the board agrees, funds in the amount of $1,095,525 need to be appropriated from the general fund balance. And in addition, staff recommends the board appropriate the FY19 carryover funds of $939,997 for the future purchase of an aerial fire apparatus, and that money for the fire apparatus is to the penny what we are getting as a share of the school carryover. So we just thought it would be good policy to move that over and have that put in a lockbox, if you will, as we proceed to try to purchase that second aerial apparatus.
As indicated in your working papers, these need to be separate motions. I'll entertain a motion to appropriate from the general fund balance for the capital items listed, $1,095,525.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appropriate $1,095,525 from the general fund balance for the capital items mentioned.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent. Jennifer. And the accompanying motion for an appropriation for the county share of the FY19 school carryover funds for the purchase of an aerial fire apparatus.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the board appropriate the $939,997 received as the county share of the fiscal year 19 school carryover funds for the future purchase of the aerial fire apparatus.
Second.
With a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Is 5 with 1 absent. Jennifer? You have an additional financial matter that was placed at your desk today. It's 10D, an additional appropriation referencing grant funds for public safety. Mr. Hall.
Public Safety Director Matt Tatum asks the board to appropriate grant funds of $24,441 received from the Virginia Office of Emergency Medical Services and funds of $15,000 received from the Harvest Foundation. These funds will be used collectively to purchase medical and training equipment. An additional $10,000 is needed for the match to this grant, and that was included in the capital items that you just approved. And Mr. Tatum is with us, should you have any questions.
In regard to appropriating grant funds to purchase medical and training equipment, what is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appropriate grant funds of $24,441 and $15,000 to purchase medical and training equipment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent. Jennifer? Okay, agenda item number 11. We will need to add one item that will be 2.23711A7 for legal matters. If someone will cite a motion to go into closed meeting, citing the codes as allowed by the Freedom of Information Act and Code of Virginia.
Mr. Chairman, I move the board convene in a closed meeting as permitted under the following sections of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act: 2.23711A7 for discussion of pending legal matters, 2.23711A10 for discussion of special awards.
The addition.
And the legal matter.
And A7.
He got
Oh,
the legal
That was the
matters
first
and
one,
need to
right?
get
We
the
gotta say it
first-
twice?
He said legal matters first.
Need to
Yep.
do A5.
A5.
Oh, you didn't.
Oh, sorry, 2.23711A5 for discussion of legal matters.
No, yeah,
Okay.
unannounced industries, yeah.
Yeah.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? It is 5 with 1 absent. See everyone upstairs in like 5 minutes. Mr. Wagner, will you poll the board?
We certify that in closed session, we discuss public business matters lawfully exempted and as identified in the motion to go into closed session. Mr. Zager,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Martin,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Buchanan.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hall, do you have any items that we need to consider coming out of closed meeting?
No, sir.
Board members, do you have any items? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? It's 5 with 1 absent. Good evening.